Hey everyone, welcome to Crypto Corner with myself, OJ. In today's episode, I feature a new project, one that just made a major integration with Chainlink for Oracle data protection. This is a project that is all about ID and other personal data protection with the help of blockchain. So let's dive deeper and find out what makes this project stand out. This is today's featured project. Signata is a platform built by Congruent Labs 2 to reveal the true smart card capabilities of ubiex 3 and ubiex, to bridge individuals' identities to their digital content and to interact with blockchains. The core capability of Signata is currently to deliver a hardware-based wallet for cryptocurrency storage, but the technologies that underpin ubiex also provide the ability to authenticate digitally signed content and bind identities to factors of authentication. Signata's use of well-established smart card capabilities with ubiex drives a natural path to expansion of the Signata service to integrate more functionalities such as authentication and digital signatures, but also for the expansion into more integration of users' identities and authentication systems onto blockchain instead of just interacting with them. The main developers who are the driving force behind Signata are Tim Quinn and Ben Burrows. They started their company Congruent Labs in 2017, and with the launch of their native token, they're now entering the blockchain space, which is how this project finds its place in this episode. The token is already successfully launched. March 31st was the launch, and both Tim and Ben have extensive experience. Cybersecurity is Tim's forte. He's built authentication, cryptography, and identity management systems for major clients, including the Australian Defence Department and the New Zealand government. Ben also has over a decade's worth of experience at the federal government level. He's built massive-scale data management enterprise solutions within both business-to-business and business-to-government environments. So these founders have a well-proven track record and professional experience delivering public key infrastructure solutions to some very high-level clients. I asked their main developer, Timothy Quinn, to join me for a quick chat about Signata so that we can learn in greater detail about the key aspects of this project. My first question was about the project, when it started, how it came about, what is its main purpose.
Back in 2017, we founded our company, Congruent Labs, and it sort of started off as a project trying to we were working with someone to build a core banking system on the blockchain and using YubiKeys for credential storage, that kind of thing. We thought, okay, let's take the technology we started building and turn it into a consumer product. So we started building a crypto wallet product using YubiKeys, so as hardware storage for the keys rather than other products like ledgers or Trezors, anything like that. And we kept building on that, but we were doing that part-time. Then last year, like mid last year, the hype for crypto started to build again. We started to, that bull run started. And we'd originally talked about building a crypto product, like a token or something like that a while back, but we didn't really know what we could do with that. But we looked at ERC20 tokens and we looked at what smart contracts could do. And so we realized, oh, wow, we could actually build something really interesting here, something on the chain, revolving around what we know really well. We've been building for like a decade with government and large enterprise. We could build an identity system there. And so we started drafting the white paper, and then we released our token at the end of March this year. And yeah, it sort of went crazy, but with the amount of people, we didn't expect to get noticed that easily, but we got quite a little vibrant community going. And what we're now trying to achieve is kind of what some other projects are doing, but doing the authentication and authorization and also hardware key storage. So your identities are protected by hardware rather than, potentially being stolen from your phone or your computer or something like that.
So I have the YubiKeys actually. So this for me is quite interesting to know.
Oh,
How exactly
awesome.
is it going to work? And many people are not familiar with them at all, especially when it comes to crypto. We always talk about extra security steps and stuff like that. But for the many people who wouldn't be familiar with the YubiKey device and then how it's much safer than a typical Google authenticator or another application on your mobile phone, can you give us a bit more insight into that and also how they're going to be used in your case?
Yeah, sure, sure. So the real difference with a hardware token is the fact it's actually a piece of hardware that you hold. So it doesn't matter what happens if someone tries to break into an account of yours, they need to physically have the token present and stick it into the computer or the phone and authorize that that authentication. So that's what separates it. It doesn't matter what people try to do. If they don't have that physical token with them, then they can't get in. Whereas Google Authenticator and Authy, those kind of apps that do the token codes, the OTP tokens as they're called, they are good and they're far better than not having one at all. But in the end, the keys for those are still just held in software on your phone. So they run the risk that someone could, in theory, lift them out and then use them without you knowing. In this case, YubiKeys, you're using them with a physical token. So the way we're using them, it's kind of different to what most people deal with YubiKeys, where you're doing second factor authentication. Like you log onto a website, you put your username and password, then you're prompted to plug in your YubiKey. Ours is using a different part of the YubiKey, basically the smart card part of it. It's also called PIV or CCID. Sorry to throw in all these acronyms, but effectively, it's like a smart card. There's a key that sits on the YubiKey that goes and encrypts or decrypts in the way we use it. It goes and encrypts or decrypts your crypto keys. So your crypto keys themselves don't go onto the YubiKey. We just use a separate key that protects them on there. Ledgers and things like that, they store the keys on themselves, like on the actual hardware. But ours is sort of more of an elaborate, different way to do it. But it's fundamentally just as secure because you still need to bring that YubiKey, plug it into the computer, and in our case, you also have to put in a PIN. So if someone steals your YubiKey, they don't get access to your wallet. You still need to put your the PIN in as well. And if they try 5 times getting it wrong, then the whole device is locked.
So, as we see, security is taken care of in the most sophisticated way. Signata operates as a zero-knowledge service for all secrets stored in the system. Users must configure a BIP396 mnemonic recovery passphrase to retain the ability to recover their accounts should they lose their YubiKeys. The encryption key that resides on their YubiKeys remains on the user's YubiKey in the exportable smart card storage, and an encrypted version is stored within the Signata service as a backup. To ensure Signata itself does not become a target for the attack, the user's mnemonic is never sent to the storage that the service operates. For users to interact with their addresses, they simply need to connect their YubiKey, provide their PIN, similar to authorizing a payment using a credit card, but only the YubiKey end user knows that PIN, and the keys are decrypted for the user to use them. Unlike common hardware wallets, the keys themselves don't actually reside on the YubiKey. Only the encryption key does. The encryption key is protected from unauthorized use by the user's PIN, so that PIN is not known by the Signata team. And repeated failed PIN attempts will send the YubiKey into a locked state to ensure brute force access cannot be attained. In other words, Signata is taking us from the world of password ID protection into one where devices like YubiKey are guarding our data in a much safer way. As Tim says, the world needs to move to hardware credentials, but made easy, which is why YubiKey comes in handy. Its touch sensor functionality makes it very user-friendly and simple to use. My next question was about the use case for Signata. What would be its main function?
The actual token project, it's all about protecting just our online identities. So, instead of like log in with Google or log in with Facebook buttons on websites, you would log in with Signata instead. And you're using instead of using a username and password, you're using just keys, like cryptographic keys. You don't have to care about how that works, but it's fundamentally the same as like a crypto wallet. And that's everything built around that. So the unique key identifies you as a person, and then you're using that to log in. And then on top of that, then people can, say if you're running like a forum or something like that, and you've integrated this login with Signata, you can then add in like premium features onto your forum. You could say, if you want to access the pro stuff, you log in with Signata, and then a right will be issued to you if you make the payment up in advance. With it doesn't have to be with the SATA token, but it could be with some other token, whatever you like. But once you've done that, then that right's given to you, and you get access to whatever whatever pro features or whatever on that forum. So you'll have those rights issued to you on the blockchain, so they can't be taken away from you. They're also not identified, like they're not linked to your personal identity. But then also on top of that, we usually, when we're doing things online, we kind of have more than one identity. So we have our, if you're at work, you'll generally have a work identity that you do access all your work stuff with. And then you'll have your personal identity. So we kind of call that personas. So you might have your normal persona, you have your work professional persona, and then you might have other ones for other things, because you might run, multiple communities, that kind of thing. So we want to try to, with our product, we want to try to build the ability to generate multiple personas, have different rights issued to them, have linkages between them if you want, or not at all. So you can keep those worlds completely separate, and basically bring more websites and, KYC providers as well, bring them into our ecosystem so they can issue like KYC proofs to the identities in use within the Signata ecosystem.
Now, when I was researching Signata, I saw in their website that privacy is one of the key focus points for the team. Our online identities are not private, and data is being resold by companies that exercise centralized control. So, with anonymity being a key factor, and with the use of publicly verifiable blockchain record of data, I wanted to know, how will this work?
When we talk about like anonymous payments, it's more like, it's not quite like, like Tornado Cash or Monero or anything like that. It's more about like having the payment for access to things, like how we're going to issue out rights, things like that, not really tied to your personal identity. So like if you're holding a wallet with SATA in it or another token, and you make a payment for a right, that payment for the right is not, it doesn't have your email address thrown in there. So like the traditional way, if you add payment for a service onto a website, you might use something like Stripe for the payments. And that's just, that's credit card payments. So they have to add in like all the extra fraud protections, which is capturing your name, your billing address, that kind of thing. So it's basically not so much about like truly anonymous payments on the blockchain. It's more about just taking away the identity capture that happens with payments.
All right, so far so good. Well, Signata is also using a native token called SATA. As a utility token, the main concept is facilitation. Identity providers will pay and receive SATA tokens for the delivery of services via smart contracts. Individuals will optionally submit SATA as a form of payment to the service provider. SATA tokens will be submitted to smart contracts and exchanged for NFTs. These NFTs will be representing identity claims of authorizations. This is an Ethereum ERC20 token, and it's with a fixed supply of 100 million tokens. From what I found, 40 million of these are reserved by Congruent Labs for development and distribution to the market as needed to support the project milestones. 10 million tokens are reserved by Congruent Labs for enabling integration with partners and for allocation to other services and investors. And I asked Tim to give us some more details about the tokenomics of the SATA token.
In terms of the actual like distribution, we had some original plans around like late this year when we released our proof of concept. We had 10 million tokens reserved for that to work around the beta release, and encouraging people to come on board and things like that. But we realize now we don't actually need to do that. So those tokens are probably going to just get locked up and then released, 2026 or something like that. We've locked up already close to 70% of the supply. We've got almost 20% circulating now. The other 10% we've got planned for either exchange listings or investors. But in terms of the use of the token, that comes down to the whole point is like this framework we're building. We can build the login and the authorization components, but it really comes down to service providers actually attaching that onto things like their websites or their phone apps. So we will build a proof of concept, and that's basically going to be the public guide on how to integrate this. And so then when service providers add that integration on top, they can then charge both users. Say if you want to create an identity and you want to access my system, you might have to pay 20 SATA or something like that for access. But then also we're trying to encourage people to not capture any identity information themselves. And if they want to, have a proof, say that you have a valid email address because they want to send you a mailing list or something like that, an email validator service should do that instead of you trying to write all of that code yourself. Kind of like, Firebase by Google is like an authentication service. It gives you that login with Google functionality, and it comes out of the box with a whole bunch of tools for setting up identities. So we want people to be building those services. KYC is another example. So if you're an exchange and you want login with SATA, you shouldn't have to go and then build that KYC service yourself. You want to integrate with somebody else. And if you could just do that with a service to service integration and just charge a user SATA for logging in, and then use some of that SATA and send that to the third party KYC, get back a proof that they've done KYC, and then they can be trusted, then you've basically got SATA flowing around between the users and all of the individual services. And then they can use that to effectively fund their operations rather than doing fiat. All they would need to do is just add a wrap their service around an interaction on the chain. And we would basically help them do that. So we are on Uniswap V2. We are going to switch to Uniswap V3.
And you also have an intention of integrating Cardano and Chainlink as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we've got currently with the contracts that we've written, the smart contracts we've written, they're all EVM compatible. So any other EVM compatible chain, we are going to test and see if we can deploy the full set of contracts on. And if they work, then that's great. Then we'll add them in as an alternative. So, if we can get on something like Matic or Optimism, Arbitrum, those kind of things, we absolutely will, because they're going to be, we're going to consider them kind of like a lower assurance chain. So because they are, they're faster, they're cheaper, but they have drawbacks. No matter how you look at it, there are drawbacks from them being faster and cheaper. So we will give them as options in the framework. If you're building everything on Matic, then we want to be there and have that option available. In terms of some of the other networks like Cardano or Solana, they are written in different languages. So we will go and we're basically planning on checking to see if we can build or translate all the contracts that we've got, test them and see if they're fully functional. If they are, great. That's considered another network we're going to support. But if not, then we'll wait until they reach that parity of functionality, and then later on do that integration. Same thing with the Binance chain.
So apparently in future releases of the platform, the SATA tokens will be used to interact with a platform of smart contract-based decentralized identity services that Signata is currently developing, both as a core internal capabilities for the product, but additionally as on and off-chain anonymity preserving systems that external applications can integrate with to build an identity ecosystem not bound by central authorities. This new platform will be known as the Identity Guard and Anonymity Framework, IDGAF. In their announcement of these new features, the team said, "We believe existing capabilities of identity management on blockchains is trying to realize protocols and systems that were designed against non-blockchain systems. Signata will instead deliver a platform that maintains the core tenets of blockchains being anonymous but cryptographically trusted identification of individuals, decentralized assertion of content, and secured payment for services or integrations on the chain." So, who benefits from this service? Well, not only individual users, of course, but it has massive potential for providing enterprise solutions. Think universities, banks, hospitals, military, governments even. They're all working with sensitive data, and with all of these, the security of digital identities is paramount. Yet, they're still by and large using outdated technology. Most importantly, the team just announced the integration of Chainlink, as I started the video with. This is a huge step. This integration will build the necessary linkage between blockchain identity management systems and the off-chain identification of risk for real-world application. Signata is building risk analysis systems off-chain for service providers who will then in turn report dynamic risk levels of identities on-chain using Chainlink-powered decentralized Oracle networks. It is a major endorsement by one of crypto's biggest success stories. Ultimately, Signata is helping protect sensitive on-chain smart contract operations using identity data. This is what makes this project so worthy of being placed on your radar and why I've decided to feature it here on Crypto Corner. I hope that this video will help you with your research, and as I always say, always build up on your research. Use my videos as the basis of your research. Do your own research. Find out more about the team and the token and what the team is actually building around this token, what is the ecosystem, and have a look at the roadmap as well, the light paper. That this is also on the website, and I've provided the links, all the major links, so that you can follow them on social media as well. Keep an eye on announcements, as I always say. This is all in the description below. Make sure that you check all of the links. Thanks for staying until the end of the video, and if you liked it, show your support by leaving a like and a comment below. Also, don't forget that leaving comments in all of my videos from now all the way until August will qualify you for my summer giveaway. One of the main prizes is this Ledger Nano S, brand new Ledger Nano S device. This is only one of the top prizes. I will be announcing the rest of the prizes very soon, so make sure that you're subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, and make sure you comment on each of my episodes. This is it. Thanks for staying until the end. I'm signing off, and I will see you in tomorrow's episode.